Dear students, welcome back to a new session. In this session, what we're going to do, we're going to go one step further. When we say one step further, we need to understand something called company. What is a word company? And maybe something more related to stocks. Stock? Well, okay, yes. So we're going to discuss about company, which is joint stock company. But having said that, have you heard this word stock or even a joint stock? I shall explain this verse to you. Now, as it says joint stock, that means, as per dictionary, the joint stock is the stock which is divided by number of shares, or a capital or amount which is divided by number of shares in a company. Now, a company actually is made up of the stock which is shared by many people. So, a little bit confusing. That means we give some stock or we divide the stock or the capital of the company between various shareholders. So that is actually called joint stock company. Now, recently this has become a new style or most preferred style of ownership, business ownership, and it really also is quite dominant at the moment, which is and it's around the world. Now, I want to take you through this, but before that, I think it's a good idea if I give you an example in a very easy way. Okay, let me take you through as an what is a joint stock and how does it work and company works. Let's take an example. Let's say, um, for the sake Jay, and a person called Jay, he wants to start a hotel. He wants to start a small hotel, and the investment of the hotel is around 5 crore rupees. Now, Jai knows he has 2 crore rupees of his investment capital with him, but he still needs 2 more crore rupees to operate the hotel, to first of all, to build and manage and operate the hotel. Now, where will Jai get his 2 crore rupees from? So what he does, he thinks of why can't I develop my company and have some people who will invest money in my company, in my stock, and then they can be the shareholders of my stock. Okay, let's make it more divided. So what Jai does, Jai took his 2 crore rupees and he, you know, that he wants to raise 2 crore rupees more. Out of 5, he has 3. He wants to raise 2 more crore rupees. To raise 2 more crore rupees, what Jai does, he actually makes shares, 20,000 shares of 1,000 rupees each, which makes 2 crore rupees. Now, there are 20,000 shares of Jai's company in the market for people to buy. Now, each value 1,000 rupees. So what's happening is that now everyone who purchases Jay's company's shares, maybe someone will purchase one, someone will purchase 10, some will purchase 100, some will purchase 1,000. So anyone who's investing 1 lakh rupees um, may purchase 100 shares. That makes 100,000, which makes 1 lakh rupees. So on and so forth. People will join together and they buy the shares to invest in Jai's hotel. Now, what happens is, now Jai gets money. People have started investing in Jai's hotel. So people could not buy a hotel, could not make it, but they invested in shares in the Jai's hotel because Jai is going to use that in the hotel. And then he constructs the hotel and Jai starts running the hotel. And then hotel makes profits, and then Jai gives us profits, the portion of amount of money that they had invested, that portion of the profit is given to people who actually invested the money. So what happened, isn't it, they got returns, and these returns are called dividends. Now they got this back because they invested, they trusted Jai when Jai was even starting the hotel. So they gave back, Jay gave back the money that he got the profit. So for 100,000, let's say if they got 5% profit, so they got 105,000 rupees, 1 lakh 5 rupees, 5,000 rupees, my bad. So what is happening this way? This way, it's win-win for Jay who got money, and it's win-win for someone who invested money and he got it 5,000 rupees on top of his investment. I'm just saying for example. Now, Jay could do in two ways. One way that Jay could open up for general public, or Jai could have only for like 10 or 15 people who could invest 50 lakhs and you know 1 crore or 50 lakhs, whatever money they could join. So there are two ways. We'll come to that later, which is called a public limited company and a limited company itself. So we'll come to that, but the basic understanding and the concept of actually the stock company is it's actually with the shares, and that means the shareholders have you know they have the say and about what's happening in the company. um, they have a meeting, in a year. They give out their balance sheets, letting your shareholders know. Now let's look in the tourism. Do you think we have something like that? Any idea? Think about it. Okay, I'll ask you to think at least two companies where you think in tourism would be working on the same principle or the platform of shareholding. What about airlines? Yeah. How about Air India? How about Lufthansa? Hmm. What about tourism in the firms? Have you heard of ITDC? Indian Tourism Development Corporation, my bad. And like Tourism Finance Corporation of India. So such, again, these are, again, as I said, corporations or companies. These companies have got shares, and obviously um, they have shares of the value that has been put in the public. Sometimes government do that. Yes, they do that. ITDC seems like a government organization, isn't it? So they do also share, so the public can be a part of it, and then the dividends can be given to the company, to give to the people who invested money in there. So now the size of a joint stock company is quite bigger, because obviously imagine if we were talking about shares of 20,000 shares. So that means when you put the shares in the market, so obviously you're responsible for those people who buy your shares. You're answerable to them. That means your business must take right decisions, and at times they may be part of some decision making. So there is a quite a lot of difference in joint stock holding, which is quite a bigger than a sole proprietorship. I told you, sole proprietorship or even a partnership. So because the amount of money involved is bigger, because the amount of what's called operations are bigger, and number of people who invest in a lot more than just a single or two people. So decision making becomes a little bit of hectic here, and a lot of protocols are to be followed while you open this company, while you operate this company. This entity itself takes a lot of you can say knowledge and a lot of organized um, structure to do that. Okay, let's look at some of those features. What do you think could be the features of this company? Now, it's again, the first thing is it gets its legal entity. Now, I will give you one example, because you may get confused over here, but I'll give you an example which makes you very easy to understand. Now, I have, as myself, I'm actually a sole trader. So I have my own business, which is registered on my what's it called tax number. What do you call it in India? It's called anyways. It's on the tax number, right? Now I have a company which is on my tax file number, and sorry, I have my firm. That means I'm a sole trader. Okay, so whenever I pay tax at the end of the year, I include that as that is part of my one tax. Okay, that's my responsibility. I'm running this business. It's my responsibility. I pay the tax for that. No. Now, same goes with the partnership. Again, so that organization, which is, let's say, ABC, this ABC organization belongs to me, right? And I'm responsible for ABC business, which is I'm sole trader of that business. Now, then I pay tax. So the tax does not come separately for ABC. The tax comes on me, and then because what I'm earning I get from ABC, the tax comes on me, and I pay the tax. That's one tax number that I have. Okay. Now that is active for partnership as well as for your sole tradership. But for the company, it's a bigger identity. Now, I also am a director in one of the company which um, me and my wife hold. Okay, we have a company. So we have a company now. In that company, now have a understanding of this, because as a company is a bigger identity. Company has got its legal name. I have registered the company legally on the business, and there's a tax which goes on company separate to tax that goes on to me. Yes. So company becomes an independent identity than to my business which I have separately. So I have my separate business, but I also have a company with my wife. Now she is a director and I'm the director. We both are directors. So I pay tax as a director whatever income I earn from the company. So company is actually identity which is separate of you. So regardless, you are a director, and then you may be, a CEO, you may be any position in the company. So that does not matter, because company has to pay its own tax. That means how much business did you do in a year, what were the profits, what were the losses. So that's separate to your own person. Let's say I'm a director, I took wages from this company. I have to pay tax on the wages that I took from the company as a director. So that's where even this company has shares. We have I think we have 100 shares at 50 is mine, 50 is hers. So this is what it is. So that is a company which is private limited, which is not a company which is. We will come to that bit later. But again, now I was trying to give you an example of a company versus a sole trader. Here I have one business which runs as a sole trader. I have another business which is a company which is not my business. I'm director of that company. So when I pay tax, I pay tax individually as a business, but I also pay tax for my company. So well, yeah. So this is two different. That means company is a separate identity to you, as when you are a when you have a company. So company has a different tax and you have to pay different tax. But when you're a sole trader, so it comes within your tax only. So I pay tax for my business, which is ABC, and I pay company tax, which is XYZ, name of the company. I'm not sharing the name, but I'm just telling you. Okay. Now let's take on further from there, as we were trying to look at what are the features of the company. So we understood that a company actually is a legal identity or a legal identity, but it has a separate identity which I actually share. And obviously there is a process of instituting or starting a company. We have a legal process to do it every year. We have to demonstrate the tax, and also in terms of legal, I have to register my company, keep maintaining the registration to make sure that I'm following the government compliance. Okay, now obviously, because mine, I was talking about a public limit and a private, so we will talk about both. Now, the share capitals, I told you I got 50 shares of the company. So what happens is, let's take another example, a bigger example now. Now, in a company, as I was giving the example of Jay, we already understood that Jay has given 20,000 shares, rupees 1,000 each. Now, Jay has raised 2 crore rupees from that company, right? Now, because Jay has raised 2 crore rupees, Jay is liable, responsible to use the 2 crore rupees in the best way so that company gets a profit, right? Now, if anything happens, Jay has to take a decision. He has to make sure, keep in mind those people who were there with the Jay, so that those were shareholders. And Jay cannot take independent decisions as he used to take in our, what's it called, in a sole trader. Now, Jay may have to have a board members to discuss before he took a decision. Okay. Now, let's move further. In regards to another feature of the company is, sole trader. Let's again compare. Let's say if Jay has a company and I'm a sole trader. So anything happens to me, because I'm the one who's running the show, I'm the one who's a sole trader. So you might trade and my business goes with me. Anything happens to me, as I said, I closed my business because I could not manage. Done, finished. Now, because I could not do that, right? Now, when it comes to company, so what happens is that is the entity. Regardless, you are director